My stepmother demanded $800 in rent to stay in the home I secretly owned, so I hired movers, exposed her fraud, and left her scrambling to survive with a GoFundMe and fake designer bags. When my stepmom told me I had to pay $800 in rent to stay in the house I legally owned, I didn't argue. I evicted her, her spoiled kids, and ended the free ride they'd been living for over a decade. What came next? It left everyone speechless and changed our family forever. My name is Claire. I'm 22 years old and live in Providence, Rhode Island. My dad, Alan, is 48. His wife, my stepmother, is Dana, 45. Her kids from a previous marriage, Cody, 26, and Layla, 22. Yes, these are all fake names, because if Dana ever reads this, she'll know exactly who she is. To understand how we got here, you need a little backstory. My mom passed away from breast cancer when I was 9. It gutted us. My dad spiraled, barely functional for months. But my mom's parents, Grammy Rose and Papa Joe, stepped in. They didn't just babysit. They moved into our lives like guardian angels, cooking, cleaning, running errands, making sure I was okay, and trying to help my dad hold it together. They also had money. Not yacht rich, but smart investments and no debt rich. And in one brilliant move, they bought a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial in one of Providence's best neighborhoods. Their idea? We'd all live there, raise me together, and rebuild. For a while, it worked. Until Dana showed up. My dad met her at a conference in Nashville. He was rebuilding his consulting business. She was the event planner. According to him, they just clicked. According to the rest of us, she clicked onto his wallet. She moved cross-country to be with him after 3 months. They married at 6 months. Triangular flag, triangular flag, triangular flag. Dana had 2 kids. Cody, who was 13 and already a walking attitude problem, and Layla, who was 9 and seemed nice, until Dana shaped her into a mini version of herself. The kind that wears juicy couture to Target and thinks Starbucks is a personality. I heard Grammy and Papa whisper about Dana late at night. They didn't trust her, thought she was after Dad's money. But they never said anything aloud, because Dad was finally smiling again. After losing Mom, maybe he deserved that. That's what they thought. But Dana didn't wait long before letting her true colors show. She complained that the house was dated, that Grammy's vintage china was clutter. She started rearranging things, redecorating, and slowly took over. Grammy and Papa were too kind to push back. Dad, too in love to notice. And then came the chores. Dana insisted that everyone contribute, which turned out to mean me. Cody had sports. He sat on the bench. Layla was too young. I was scrubbing baseboards at 12 while Cody was getting private basketball coaching Dad couldn't afford, and Layla was watching YouTube tutorials on how to look rich. By the time I hit high school, I was cooking dinner, folding laundry, including Cody's gym socks, and deep cleaning bathrooms like a hotel maid. Dana would run her finger along baseboards and TSK if I missed a spot. Meanwhile, her own kids couldn't locate a mop if you handed them Google Maps. Then, the twist I didn't know until years later. Grammy and Papa had put the house in my name. Not Dad's. Not Dana's. Mine. They knew what was coming. They wanted to protect me. And they did it all legally, before they passed away. Grammy in 2019, Papa just 3 months later. Dad knew. He just didn't think it was relevant. Dana? She had no idea. Because if she did, trust me, her name would have been on that deed faster than Layla maxed out a credit card. So, for the last few years, I've been a glorified maid. Living in my own house, paying for my online classes, working part-time at a coffee shop, and saving what little I could, while Dana made digs about how I needed to contribute to the household. Then came the night. I had just wrapped an 8-hour shift at the cafe. Almond milk drama. I was exhausted. Came home, started making dinner. Spaghetti, nothing fancy, just something I saw on TikTok. Dana walked in, dressed like she was heading to a charity gala. It was Ross. She sat at the kitchen island and gave me that look. You know, the I'm about to say something fake sweet but venomous expression. She cleared her throat. We need to talk about your living situation. I paused, sauce bubbling, wooden spoon in hand. What living situation? I asked. I've lived here longer than you. She didn't miss a beat. Alan, and I think it's time you started paying rent. You've got a job now. It's not fair that you live here for free while we pay all the bills. My brain stuttered. Bills. She hadn't paid a utility in years. My dad footed every single expense. From Cody's gaming rig to Layla's monthly Sephora hauls. I kept my voice calm. Are Cody and Layla paying rent? Dana dabbed her mouth with a napkin. She hadn't even eaten. That's different. They're still finding their path. Cody's building his brand, and Layla is focused on school. Cody's brand was 4-night live streams with 3 viewers, 2 of which were probably bots. Layla's studies were mirror selfies and overpriced coffee. And yet, I was the one who needed to pay rent? That's when I snapped. But not in the yelling, throwing things kind of way. I turned off the burner. Set the spoon down. Looked Dana straight in her Botox-frozen face. Let me get this straight, I said. I do all the chores. I work. I pay for my own things. Cody screams at 12-year-olds online all day, and Layla doesn't know how to use a microwave, but I should pay rent? Dana opened her mouth, probably to quote a Real Housewives episode, but I didn't let her. Actually, I said, let's get everyone together. This is a conversation for the whole family. So I called a family meeting. Cody complained. Layla whined. Dana sat smugly like she was about to drop the hammer. And that's when I dropped mine. I'm not paying rent, I said, because this house, it belongs to me. The silence was glorious. You could have heard Layla's fake nails tapping the table. Dana's jaw dropped. Cody looked confused. Layla blinked like her ring light just exploded. Dana tried to laugh it off. Then I said, why don't you call Dad and ask? And she did. She put him on speaker. She always puts people on speaker when she thinks she's winning. Alan, Claire's saying the house is hers. That's not true, right? And then, the silence. Dad cleared his throat. Well, technically, my in-laws put it in her name before they passed. Boom. You could see the color drain from Dana's face, like someone unplugged her from the Matrix. And this, friends, is where the real fun began. Dana's face went blank the moment my dad confirmed the truth. It was like someone had unplugged her. Her eyes twitched, her mouth hung half open, but no words came out. If facial expressions had a buffering icon, hers was spinning. Alan, she gasped, voice rising. You didn't think it was important to tell me your daughter owned this house? Dad cleared his throat, the nervous tick he always did when he felt cornered. I didn't think it was relevant. Wrong answer. Cody froze mid-chew. A strand of spaghetti slid from his fork like a snake off a branch. Layla, holding her phone mid-tick-tock, blinked like she wasn't sure if this was real or scripted. Dana's hand slammed the phone onto the table. The screen cracked. No one said a word. That night, I didn't sleep. Not from anxiety, but from something more unfamiliar, clarity. For the first time, I wasn't the one being talked over, manipulated, or guilt-tripped into doing more. I felt like I'd finally stepped out of a fog I didn't know I'd been living in. But I underestimated Dana. That woman treats manipulation like a career path. The next morning, as I came downstairs for coffee, I heard her in the kitchen. Her voice, hushed but unmistakably intense, echoed off the tiled walls. She had my dad on speaker. Of course. Mark, she said, we have to do something. Claire is unstable. All this anger. I'm worried about her mental health. She applied to schools out of state, right? Maybe it's time she moved out. For her independence. She said that last word like she was wrapping poison in a candy wrapper. My stomach turned. She wasn't just angry. She was scheming. Dad sounded tired, emotionally checked out. I don't know, Dana. She turned on her syrupy manipulation voice. Mark, think about it. She needs to grow. And let's be honest, it's not healthy for her to stay here and stew in resentment. I swear to God, I nearly marched in and launched her Keurig out the window. But I didn't. I waited, listening. Then I heard it. Maybe you're right, Dad said softly. I'll talk to her. And that was the moment everything inside me crystallized. My own father was ready to convince me to leave my own house so his wife could keep squatting in it rent-free. I walked in like nothing happened. Dana's head snapped toward me so fast I thought she'd strain her neck. Good morning, sweetie, she said, fake smile and all. I made coffee. No, she hadn't. She pushed a K-cup into a Keurig I bought with my barista paycheck. I poured myself a cup, stirred it slowly, then sat down at the island. Dana, I said casually, about that rent thing you mentioned yesterday. She perked up instantly. Thought I was folding. Yes, honey. You were right, I said, smiling. Everyone living here should pay rent. I did some calculations based on the average market rates in our neighborhood. I think $1,200 per person is fair. So that'll be $3,600 total. plus utilities. And of course, a security deposit. Cody choked on his cereal. Layla's avocado toast landed face down on her new white crop top. Dana went pale, the color draining from her face like a leaking paint can. "You can't be serious," she croaked. "We're family." I pulled out my phone and hit play. Her voice echoed through the kitchen. "She's angry, Mark. Maybe she should move out. For her independence." Dana's lips parted, but no words came out. Just a trembling breath. "You recorded me?" she shrieked. "That's illegal." I looked her dead in the eye. One-party consent state. I checked. Also my house, my rules. She snapped. Cody stormed off muttering that I was insane. Layla cried that her aesthetic was ruined. Dana paced in circles, flip-flopping in her knockoff Gucci slides, muttering about calling her cousin, the one who does real estate law, but actually specializes in DUIs and works out of a strip mall office between a vape shop and a nail salon. When she returned to the table, she tried again. "Claire," she said gently, "we're all just trying to help you. What about that college in Michigan? Maybe some time away would give you perspective." "No," I said flatly. "This is my home. And if anyone's leaving, it's not me." That was the final straw. She leaned in close, face contorted in fury, and hissed through her teeth. "I don't care whose name is on the deed. This is my house. I've lived here for 12 years. You can't kick me out." Perfect. Because I was still recording. And because, 2 weeks earlier, I'd already spoken with a lawyer. My grandparents didn't just put the house in my name. They created a trust. A well-documented, airtight, legally unshakable trust. And I'd hired an attorney the moment Dana suggested rent. Eviction was coming. Court-backed. Paperwork in hand. And Dana? She was about to learn that years of treating me like a servant had just earned her a one-way ticket out of my house. The morning after Dana tried to push me out of my own house, I handed her an eviction notice. Official, signed, legally airtight. I timed it perfectly. She had just walked in from hot yoga, glowing with smug satisfaction in her knockoff Lululemon gear. Sipping a green juice she only buys to pose with. "What's this?" she asked, eyeing the envelope in my hand. "Court documents," I said calmly. "Notice to vacate. You, Cody, and Layla have 30 days to move out." The silence that followed was almost musical. Dana's laugh broke it, but it sounded hollow. "You're bluffing." I smiled. "Second page has the judge's stamp. Feel free to confirm with your cousin, unless he's busy plea bargaining his latest DUI case." Her hands trembled as she opened it. I watched her eyes dart through the lines, her confident expression withering like a cheap plant left out in winter. "You think you can just kick us out?" "No," I said evenly. "I know I can." She exploded. "You ungrateful little brat. I raised you like my own. I gave up everything for this family." That word again. Family. And something inside me cracked. No, it broke. She never raised me. She supervised me like a warden, sure. Assigned me chores, judged how I folded towels, inspected the baseboards with her finger like a failed hotel manager. But raised me? Never. It was Grammy and Papa who raised me after Mom died. It was their home, their love, their quiet resilience that kept me afloat. I remembered this night, one I hadn't thought about in years. I was 10, burning up with a fever. Dana stood outside my door, saying germs stressed her out. My dad was pacing the hallway, unsure what to do. Grammy was the one who sat beside me, whispering songs and changing the cold rag on my forehead. Papa Joe read Charlotte's Web in his low, steady voice until I drifted off. That was love. That was parenting. Dana? She just took up space in our house. And just when I thought the worst was over, a message landed in my inbox like a lightning strike. Instagram. Random username. The profile picture was a faded woman in her 40s with a heart next to her name. Vanessa J. The message? Just a single line. "You need to see this before you let them walk." I hesitated, thinking it might be spam or worse. But curiosity won. I clicked. It opened a Google Drive folder, dozens of screenshots. Chat logs between Dana and her cousin. Voice memo transcripts. Notes. She'd been planning what they called the shuffle, a scheme to gradually push me out, then use squatters' rights to challenge the deed and claim tenancy. There were messages like, "Once she moves, we lock it down. Start building history. Get copies of the utility bills in your name. Show proof of investment. Start throwing out old stuff. Clear her scent." My stomach dropped. I felt sick. One PDF had Dana's handwritten notes from a phone consult with a lawyer. One sentence was circled and read, "If Claire vacates voluntarily, possession can be contested after 90 days. They weren't just trying to make me uncomfortable. They were setting a trap. All that rent talk, all the passive aggression, it wasn't just to wear me down. It was to push me out, so they could try to claim the house. And the cherry on top? Vanessa, the one who sent me all of this, was Dana's former best friend. They'd had a falling out over a failed MLM scheme and hadn't spoken since. Apparently, Dana blamed her for some investment flop, then ghosted her when things got messy. Petty revenge never tasted so sweet. I called my lawyer immediately. She read everything, smiled, and said, "They've just handed you leverage. If Dana contests the eviction now, we counter with attempted fraud and civil harassment." I had options now, real ones. I could have let them walk away quietly, but they had been planning this for months, maybe years. They treated me like background noise in my own life, like a loose and they could snip clean. So I made a decision. I wasn't just going to evict them. I was going to expose everything. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't scared of their voices. I wasn't afraid of being called ungrateful, dramatic, unstable. They pushed. I finally pushed back. And this time, I had the receipts. If you've ever seen a demolition in real life, you know the part before the explosion is silent. Like the building itself is bracing. That's what it felt like, watching Dana read the eviction notice. For 3 long seconds, no one moved. Then everything detonated. She stormed out of the kitchen, knockoff Birkin swinging, nearly slipping on the tile in her cheap wedge sandals. Cody and Layla thudded down the stairs moments later, half-dressed and furious in their own ways. "What the hell is this?" Cody snapped, shaking the notice like I'd handed him a fake bill. I leaned back against the counter. "It's a formal eviction. You, Layla, and your mother have 30 days to vacate the premises. You can't just throw us out." Layla shrieked. "This is our house." I stared at her. She once told her friend I was just the maid who got lucky. Now she wanted to play the family card? "No, Layla. It's my house," I said calmly. "Always has been." Dana re-entered, phone already on speaker, because of course she wanted an audience. Her voice was rapid-fire and high-pitched, barking at her cousin Brad, the one who did real estate law when he wasn't getting people out of DUIs. "She's kicking us out, illegally. You can fight this, right? We've lived here for years." There was a pause. Then Brad's voice. "Dana, I've told you. Claire has the deed. It's held in trust. The eviction notice is valid." Dana slammed the phone onto the table so hard the screen went black. "You can't do this," she said to me, eyes wild. "We're your family." "No," I said. "You just lived here. That's different." Her mouth dropped. She looked like she wanted to hit me with something, but couldn't find anything expensive enough to risk. That's when things moved from chaotic to cinematic. Dana posted a long rant on Facebook, complete with crying emojis and Bible verses. She painted herself as the wounded stepmom who sacrificed everything for a thankless, manipulative stepdaughter. She even threw in something about God watching over her in her time of need. The problem? People remember. Elise, my mom's best friend and, apparently, a low-key digital detective, commented with one line. "You mean the daughter you treated like a maid? Want me to post the receipts?" Then she did. Screenshots. Photos. Messages Dana sent trashing me. A video Dana had uploaded privately where she called me deadweight with a trust fund. People started commenting. "Isn't this her stepdaughter's house? Didn't you once say she should pay for the air she breathes?" Not the Christian mom acting like Cinderella's stepmother. Even Dana's country club friends started distancing themselves. One of them replied, "Praying for you from a distance," which in rich mom speak means, "Please don't mention me in your downfall." Meanwhile, Layla's sorority chat leaked everything. Apparently, she'd been passing off fake bags as real ones and pretending her dad owned a yacht. The comments on her newest TikTok were brutal. Not Miss Privilege squatting in someone else's house. "Didn't you brag about a Chanel purse that's clearly Target?" And Cody? He tried to salvage his Twitch account with a dramatic stream explaining family drama. But someone dropped a compilation of his rants at me. Everything from "go scrub the toilet" to "this isn't even your house." That stream? His last. Viewer count, 28. Mostly hate watchers. I thought maybe they'd go quietly. Maybe they'd realize the jig was up. But Dana had one final move. While I was at work, I got a phone alert, motion detected in the kitchen. I opened the security camera app. Dana, alone, dressed like she was attending a fake charity gala. She was carefully placing one of my mother's jewelry boxes into her purse. I watched her look up at the camera and then keep going. I called the police. The responding officer, a stern, silver-haired woman who looked like she didn't have time for theatrics, arrived within 10 minutes. Dana was still there, pretending to tidy up. "This jewelry?" she said. "Just sorting old family things." "Ma'am," the officer said, "you are on private property, handling items that do not belong to you. You need to leave." Dana tried to weep. The officer didn't flinch. I filed a report, but didn't press charges, yet. My lawyer said it would strengthen our case if they contested anything in court. And the best part? Every tantrum, every lie, every desperate move Dana made after that only made me look stronger. Her little empire of fake designer bags, manipulated pity, and social climbing collapsed in real time. And this time, she couldn't talk her way out. Dana never did anything halfway, and her grand finale was no exception. The day before the court-ordered eviction, she summoned everyone for a family meeting. Her text sounded like a royal decree. "Living room, 5 p.m. sharp. Dress respectfully." I showed up in my Garfield pajama pants and a messy bun. She swept into the room wearing what she probably thought was her power outfit. A faux Chanel suit with mismatched buttons and heels that clicked way too loudly on the hardwood. She stood in front of us like a disgraced CEO preparing her resignation speech. "I'm choosing to leave," she declared. "Not because of legality, but because I refuse to live in a house filled with such toxicity." Right, toxicity. Not the surveillance footage of her trying to steal my mom's heirloom jewelry. Not the texts I caught of her plotting to push me out. Me. She took a deep breath, clearly building up to a dramatic crescendo. "Your father and I have decided to move to Florida. We've bought a gorgeous house in Tampa, much nicer than this one." That moment, flawless. Because as soon as she said it, my phone buzzed with a link. Her GoFundMe campaign titled, "Help Our Family Start Over, Victims of Betrayal." Raised $43. Most of it from her MLM friends. One donor left a comment. "You got this, babe." And small detail, Dad wasn't there for her announcement. He'd moved into a hotel 3 days earlier. After seeing the video of her stealing jewelry, he finally bailed. Texted me from a Marriott with, "I need some space." I didn't know. While she continued her speech, the movers I hired showed up, right on cue. Massive guys. Calm. Efficient. Mike, the lead, wore a tank top that said, "Zero drama, just lifting." He walked in, nodded at me, and said, "Where do you want us to start?" Dana's face locked up. Her expression looked like a frozen computer screen. "Excuse me," she gasped. "They're here for your stuff," I said. "You've had 3 weeks. Time's up." She stuttered something about not being ready, but Mike already had boxes in hand. Then came the chaos. Cody tried to protect his gaming rig like it was sacred. He panicked when one of the movers unplugged his monitor. He nearly cried. Layla shrieked about her aesthetic being ruined as movers disassembled her vanity mirror. Dana ran around trying to control everything. She barked orders no one followed. She tried to claim my mom's wedding china as her family heirloom. The movers looked at me. I shook my head. Not hers. They put it aside. But the highlight? Her designer wardrobe. One box split open, and half the labels peeled off mid-move. Prado. Chanel. Louboutin. It was a fashion graveyard. I sipped my coffee from the French press she once tried to donate. The same one I bought with my Starbucks tips. She and her crew tried to steal so much on the way out. My mom's vintage jewelry, caught on tape. Grandma's china. My coffee machine. Every towel in the house. Even the garage remote. I let them have the towels. I'd already replaced them. Dana would have said the new ones were too fancy anyway. The eviction walkthrough with the sheriff's deputy was the cherry on top. Dana accused me of damaging her things during the move. The deputy just pointed to my security cameras and asked if she wanted to press a false report. She didn't. So where are they now? Dana and Dad are holed up at her sister's apartment in the next town over. Her sister recently posted a not-so-subtle Facebook rant about grown adults who act like guests but don't help with groceries. Cody had to sell his gaming gear to put down a deposit on a room in a rundown share house. He now works at GameStop. Layla moved in with sorority friends for about a week, until they got sick of her. Now she commutes 2 hours to school from a relative's place. Her latest TikTok is titled, Being Humbled Broken Heart. The comments? Brutal. As for me? Peace. Glorious, uninterrupted peace. No more Real Housewife, perfume stinking up the hallways. No more 3 a.m. Fortnite rants. No more passive-aggressive notes on how to load the dishwasher. I converted Cody's old room into a sleek home office. Layla's room? A walk-in closet. Dana's meditation space became my yoga studio. Dad calls sometimes. He still lives with Dana, but he sounds tired. Like maybe, just maybe, he finally sees her for who she is. As for regrets? None. Because when someone tries to gaslight you into surrendering your life, your home, and your sanity, sometimes the best response is the calmest. Pack your bags. The movers are here. And Dana? She always thought she was 2 steps ahead. But the only thing ahead of her now is traffic on the I-95 to nowhere.